The rain tapped softly against the wide glass windows of Daniel Carter's penthouse office. From behind the mahogany desk, the 38-year-old CEO sat with his head bowed, papers scattered in front of him, but his mind was far from business. He wasn't thinking about quarterly reports or shareholder meetings. His thoughts circled around one little girl, his daughter, Emily. Emily was 9, bright-eyed, with a smile that could warm even the coldest day. But since her mother passed away 3 years ago, her spark had dimmed. She rarely laughed, rarely played. Music used to be her joy. Her late mother's lullabies on the piano were the only thing that once made Emily giggle in her sleep. Daniel, who was more accustomed to boardrooms than bedtime stories, had tried everything to bring music back into her world. Tutors, lessons, expensive academies, but Emily had refused them all, retreating deeper into silence. Until one late evening, out of exhaustion and desperation, Daniel instructed his assistant to hire a new piano teacher. Someone gentle, patient, someone who can reach her, he murmured. But fate has a way of listening when the heart speaks. The following week, the doorbell rang at the Carter estate. Daniel, still in his suit after a long day, opened it to find a young woman standing nervously on the doorstep. She wasn't the polished, conservatory-trained maestro he had expected. Her clothes were plain, her shoes worn, and her hair tied back hastily, as though she had rushed just to make it there. She carried no gleaming instrument case, just a faded leather satchel with sheet music poking out. "Hi, I'm Lily," she said softly, her voice carrying both humility and quiet strength. "I'm here for Emily's music lessons." Daniel frowned. There must be a mistake. My assistant was supposed to. But just then, Emily peeked around her father's arm, her shy eyes meeting Lily's. For a brief, fleeting moment, something lit up in the girl's face. A connection, a spark, and that was enough. "Come in," Daniel said finally, though his tone was hesitant. Lily entered the grand home, clearly out of place. She looked around at the marble floors, the chandelier above, the silence that felt too heavy for a house with a child in it. She set her satchel down by the piano, an instrument Emily hadn't touched in months. Lily didn't pressure the girl. Instead, she sat on the bench herself and began to play, a simple, soft melody. Not a showy piece, not classical grandeur, just a lullaby. Emily crept closer. Her small hands brushed the keys beside Lily's. And for the first time in months, she pressed down a note. Daniel watched from the doorway, his chest tightening. He hadn't seen Emily willingly approach the piano since her mother's funeral. Lesson after lesson, Lily returned. She never demanded, never corrected harshly. She simply played, told stories through music, and encouraged Emily to express herself. Slowly, Emily began to blossom again, smiling, laughing, even singing softly as she played. One night, after Lily left, Daniel looked out the window and saw her walking down the street in the rain, holding her son's hand, a boy no older than Emily. They wore thin jackets against the storm. Curious, he followed at a distance, only to watch them enter a small, run-down apartment building. The next day, Daniel asked gently, "You have a son?" Lily hesitated, but then nodded. "Yes, Jacob. He's 7. His father left before he was born. It's just us." She gave a small, almost apologetic smile. "Music has been our lifeline. I teach because it's all I know, and all that gives me hope." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He thought of Lily, working tirelessly, raising a son alone, yet still carrying so much light. She had given Emily back her laughter. But, who was giving anything back to her? Weeks passed, and the bond grew. Emily began looking forward to lessons, her piano filling the mansion with joy again. Daniel found himself lingering during the lessons, listening not just to the notes but to Lily's voice, her laughter, her kindness. His heart, long buried under grief and responsibility, stirred again. The climax came during Emily's school recital. She had refused to perform for years, paralyzed by stage fright and grief. But this time, she agreed, because Lily would sit beside her. The night of the recital, the auditorium was full. Parents murmured, children shuffled nervously. Emily's name was called. She froze, tears welling, whispering, "Daddy, I can't." Daniel knelt beside her, his voice trembling. "Sweetheart, you don't have to, but if you do, Mommy will be smiling from heaven." Still, Emily shook her head. But then Lily crouched down, her hand gentle on the girl's shoulder. "Emily, music isn't about being perfect. It's about speaking from the heart. And you, my dear, have the most beautiful heart I've ever known." Emily took a deep breath. With Lily beside her on the bench, she began to play. The first notes were shaky, but then her confidence grew. The melody filled the room, pure and true. By the end, the entire audience was on its feet, applauding wildly. Daniel had tears streaming down his face. His daughter was free again. Later that night, as Daniel drove Lily and Jacob home, something unspoken hung between them. Emily, half asleep in the back seat, whispered, "Daddy, can Miss Lily stay with us forever?" Daniel glanced at Lily, who looked away, her cheeks flushed. He reached over, gently taking her hand. "I hope she will," he said softly. In that moment, Lily's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of hope. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was walking alone. And Daniel, once a lonely CEO, realized that the greatest investment he could ever make wasn't in stocks, or companies, or wealth. It was in love, in kindness, in the fragile but powerful bond that had brought two broken families together. Closing narration for your video. And so, in the simplest act of music, a grieving child found her voice, a struggling mother found her home, and a lonely father found his heart. True success isn't in showing the world your riches, it's in healing, in giving, in loving. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another story is waiting to be told.